Folks, it's your friend Fishing with Dom, and I'm here to share with you today how to set up a Carolina rig. Now, across the country, the Carolina rig is very effective when it comes to catching bass that are hugging really, really close to the bottom. Whether they be largemouth, smallmouth, or spotted bass, this is a tactic that can really get the job done when others can't seem to do it. But first off, let's look at the tools necessary to do so when it comes to Carolina rigging. First off, I have my bait casting set up. You could use a spinning outfit if you like, but I like to run it on my bait caster. Got this reel, the Boo Garcia Revo. It's a 6-to-1 gear ratio. Not too fast, not too slow, nice and brisk. This is my same setup I use when I'm also fishing jigs and rigs for bass. Now the rod here, it's a medium heavy power, fast action, so I'm going to be able to detect bites on it a lot quicker than I would with a different action. Now, next, we have our weight. Now your weight size is very subjective. Because I'm going to be fishing in the mid-20s or so, I'm going to roll with a 1/2 ounce, maybe even a 3/4. But this is a half, this is what I'm going to use. Next, we will have our bead right there. That's going to go over the knot that we connect to our swivel. Now this swivel will connect your main line to your leader. You don't want it too big, you don't want it too small. You want it just right in the middle. It'll look perfectly and sit on there all nice. Next of all, getting to the point, we have our offset shank worm hook. This will get the job. You could also use an extra wide gap hook if you'd like, an inline style hook. And your bait of choice. In this particular circumstance, I'm going to be fishing with a lizard bait. You don't have to fish with a lizard on a Carolina rig. That's the beauty of it. You can put a worm, a Senko style worm, a minnow style bait, crawdad. If you put it in the water, this rig works very well for it. But let's get started. We're going to take our tag end right here. Give me a little bit of slack. And first things first, it's going to be just like a Texas rig, but it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to just thread it on there like that. It's half the battle. You're almost there. Next, we're going to take the bead and thread that onto the line as well. So as of now, this is what you have. You have the bead, and then you have the weight. A lot of people ask me, why do I need to have the bead? That bead protects your knot, because that weight is going to be sliding up and down your line, and if that bead isn't there to absorb the shock and protect your knot, it'll wear it down and you might break off on a fish. Next of all, we'll take our barrel swivel and connect it to the main line. Just a basic fisherman's knot with fluorocarbon. It has very good knot tying properties. I personally use fluorocarbon because it's really sensitive, very easy to fish with, never gives me any trouble, so I'm not going to complain. Alright, as of now, this is what we have. We have the weight, the bead right there protecting the knot, going down to the barrel swivel. And next of all, I believe I failed to mention this, you'll take the line you'd like to use as leader material. This is Berkeley Trilene, 100% fluorocarbon. Now your leader length can be whatever you want it to be. Whether it's 6 foot long, some people do go that long, or 15 inches or so. It all depends on the cover you're fishing. If it's really heavy and you just don't want to get hung up on a log or anything, roll with something shorter. But if you've got a lot of weeds you want to cover, maybe get your bait on top of some weeds or really pulling on the underside, bump it out to 6 foot, but it is going to cast a little bit differently. But we're going to go just about that 18-inch mark. That's a happy medium for me. Remove the section off the spool and then tie it to the other end of your swivel. Another fisherman's knot, nothing too crazy. And then cinch it down nice and tight. Make sure you moisten your line too. The heat friction can really wear down on a knot. So as of now, we have our leader in my left hand, the barrel swivel, the bead, and the weight. Now here's the fun part. We're going to take the hook and then just tie that hook on there. Very similar. It's a very simple rig, but a lot of people don't fish with it as much as they used to, I believe. But it's like a Texas rig, only with a leader between the weight and the hook and the presentation itself. We're just going to tie that hook on there just like that. Good to go. And your bait of choice, like I said earlier, you can fish with a worm, you can fish with a lizard or a crawdad, whatever your heart desires. And we'll just rig it like we normally do. Like for a Texas rig. With this style of hook, just thread it up on there, and you'll be ready to rock. Now, I fish with Carolina rigs a lot in deeper water on Saginaw Bay. It's a great way to pick up smallmouth that might have had a lot of baits thrown at them lately. I'll be the first one to say that I believe the Saginaw Bay in Michigan is really slept on. It's a great smallmouth bass fishery, but when it does receive the fishing pressure, it does get, don't get me wrong. A lot of guys will be throwing tubes, a lot of guys will be drop shotting. You throw this Carolina rig out there, it's something a little bit different. When they are hugging tight to the bottom, you know, sometimes this is that one thing fish can't resist. Well, let's look at what we have here. We are in business. We've got a very, very nicely rigged lizard right there. I can either expose that point or just leave it as it is. If fish hits it, it's not going anywhere. Got our leader material going down to the swivel. And if you can see it just like that. Just like that. Ready to go. Nothing too elaborate, nothing too fancy. Very fun way of fishing. Dragging a rig on the bottom sounds simple. It sounds monotonous. But you'll catch fish with this. And you'll catch the larger fish of the day doing this. I personally believe in that. Like, this isn't something they see all the time compared to a lot of other rigs. And when they're in a more of a neutral tone to feed, and you've got your weight bumping along the bottom, and then this thing just comes scurrying about, it's game time. Make sure you set the hook accordingly too. Pardon me there. If you set the hook initially upwards, you could oftentimes drive the hook out of the fish's mouth. So if you're feeling a fish at the end of your line, especially if you're fishing deep, give it a side sweeping hook set action. But enough of that. I believe we're going to call this a day here. We have our Carolina rig. We're just going to put this on the bait holder, tighten everything up, and look at that. We're going to call it a day. Alrighty. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to let me know. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Fishing with Dom. I'd really like to hear from you. And if you have any ideas as far as video topics or anything you'd like to see me do, let me know. I'd really like to get involved with my viewers. Thank you for watching Fishing with Dom. Bye-bye.